Good evening, everyone. Bear with me. I'm just going to try and add Christian in, and we'll get rocking. Right, I've just tried adding Christian in, but notoriously he has a number of issues joining from Australia. And the madness of what we're doing, I'm getting ready to go to bed. He's just literally got up on the other side of the world. But it's the beauty of technology. So if anybody's got any questions or anything they want to add or even join the call, you're more than welcome to. So today, of course, was the May to August aviation, well, it's Corgi release, isn't it? Of course, including all the Vanguards and whatnot. There's a number of aircraft release, only 5 this time. I won't go through them one by one until Christian joins, which I'm trying to add to now, which is a little disappointing if I was to be really honest with you. I think with the production sort of pick up from Corgi and now in all their releases in the first sort of third of the year, I was hoping there'd be a number more than that. You know, I predicted 6. But really, sort of secretly, I was hoping for 8, which would have sort of bumped it up to 24 a year if they did 8 per release. But so be it. Also, Christian looks like he's let me add him in. Hopefully that's worked. Sorry, bear with me, guys. He's obviously switched to his phone at this point. Oh, there he is. Oh, he is. I know you're in Australia, mate, but that's taking the piss being upside down like that.
Oh, man.
How you
I
doing?
don't understand. Can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear, mate. Good morning to you.
Once again, I cannot get my computer to work. I can only do this by phone.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. And maybe because I'm doing it by phone, that maybe it can only take. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to get a laptop. But sorry, you missed sort of the opening sort of gambit. I was just talking about that. I was hoping for 6, but really I wanted 8. But 5 felt like a bit of a safe number. It feels a bit safe, but I mean, we'll crack through them one by one, mate. I'm sure you'll have your opinion, and obviously this is your first 2 appearances on the trot because we'll be back again next week to a model hanger free special as well, and hopefully I'll get Matt on as well. But so and actually, anybody got any comments? Put in the question, either the question tab at the bottom of your phone, or just whack them in the comments by all means. So, Christian, before I sort of get into it bit by bit, what's your overall feeling of it?
Nothing really stands out for. Quite like the Lacinda, but apart from that, nothing really stands out for me. But that's okay. I was interested to see the P47. That's a tooling that I haven't done in a while. So that's
this guy predicted it. I said it on the last one, didn't I? I said I fancy a P47. It's been way too long.
Ear to the ground, mate. Ear to the ground. Yeah, nothing stands out for me. But again, I'm not the be all end all. Haven't had a heavy for a while, have we? That's the thing that I was thinking. When was the last time we got orange and heavy?
Oh, Milk Wagon, maybe?
How long ago is that?
I think that is 3 catalogues ago. I believe it was the May to 2023 one. I might be wrong. Someone might be able to correct me on.
It's been a long time to 4-engine heavy.
Well, didn't we? The Sterling, but I think that was the very first catalogue of last year.
Yeah.
We've not had it in a while, have we? We've not. Have we had the B24? No B24s.
No, the last graph. So
yeah.
that was ages ago.
I think Milk Wagon was the last one.
Yeah. The other thing is the B25. I'm a little disappointed in. It's a very similar schema. It was the 398th or 298th bomb group. It's a New Guinea B25, so that's all lovely for me. But I would have liked to have seen something. If they're going to release another, B25, I would have liked to have seen one from the MTO, from the desert or the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I MTA. I'm thinking they've just done the War Under the Sun bit with obviously the Sicilian invasion. I forget the name of the code for it. Somebody help me out. But they had the Spitfire and the ME-109G.
Yeah.
I would have thought Italian-based B25 sort of Catch-22-esque, not necessarily from Catch-22, but something along them sort of lines would have been lovely. I know you was pushing for. Is it Desert Rose, the one you was?
Desert Warrior.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute when we get to it. But I mean, it's a lovely scheme. It's very eye-catching, but it feels like it's just been done again. But look, it does look nice. I mean, it's not going to be shit, is it, by any means? But
no, I love the Corgi B25. I mean, I have 9 of them, so I'm well invested in the tooling. But out of the 9 that I have, including Code 3's, 1 is from the Mediterranean Theatre of Operations. 1. So
that Legal Eagle one you got.
Sorry?
Legal Eagle, the Mediterranean one you've got.
Is it Rough Raiders? I forget which
Is
one
that
it is.
Is it the one with the nose art?
No, there's no nose art. I don't know. I've got to look it up. I'll look it up and I'll tell you exactly which one it is.
I'm watching a desert one which comes with the nose art, and it's really, really, really nice. And somebody's bought it. It's right now for 75 quid on eBay, and I was holding on till next week. I've got a number of different things turning up next week, so I was holding on there, just hoping it would stay, but I didn't have it. But anyway, look, let's get into it one by one. So let's talk through the D-Day range first. We'll get to the 2 new ones. So the D-Day range consists of obviously the C-47 Night Fright, which is just a surefire winner. We've got the B-26 Dynamite, which is due out. We've got the Spitfire ML-407, which is obviously due out, which is Johnny Halton's?
Yeah, Kiwi.
Yeah. We've got the Beaufighter, which was hit and miss, isn't it? I think it looks nice, but whether it's accurate or executed right or not. And then, of course, we've got the new Typhoon, which is our Baldwins, I believe. Yeah. And we got the Lysander with obviously the D-Day band as well. So we'll go through the 2 new ones at first, and then we talk about the D-Day range as a whole and see what we think. So the Typhoon, what do you think of that? So the Hawker Typhoon, might I add. Obviously, there's 2 Typhoons on this one, which we'll get to in a minute. But what do you think of the Typhoon?
It seemed like only a little while ago one was released, but it's a fine release. It's a wonderful little tooling, and it's got rockets, and it should do well. They always do well, the Typhoon. I've probably got my fill of them, but it was pretty enthusiastic on the forum. You know, guys like Fozzie, etc., were pretty enthusiastic for it. Apparently, it's one that they've been asking for a while, so it's probably going to be a winner.
Yeah, it's an iconic pilot, and also what I like about it is, I know obviously the invasion stripes took a real they changed, didn't they? So full wing and full fuselage, then they went to underwing and fuselage, then they went to half fuselage and underwing, and this one is half fuselage by the looks of it and nothing under the wing. So it adds something a little bit different to almost like the way it evolved to the end of the war, which I quite like. I know it's a rocket firing Typhoon, and we had Stapletons, and we had the last D-Day release 5 years ago, and we had the very first full D-Day scheme as well. So it'd be the 4th one, I believe, with half fuselage bands. I think the only other one similar is the Whitty one, because Whitty released 2, didn't they? Yeah. They released a car door one, I think, which had half fuselage, so it would be a 1A, I guess, but with the 3-blade prop. I can't remember what the wheat one looks like. I know it's not the best executed one, but look, I think it's nice. I think it adds a real variation.
It's a popular tooling.
Yeah, it's a good bit of kit. The only thing I would say to anybody who gets this Typhoon, just be careful getting the up doors out. From experience, they're really tightly fitted, and they can break the peg. So just be careful when you try and get this out. You've got to be very careful getting because obviously the doors now come pre-fitted to the model. Just a word of warning from my point of view, because I remember the last one I had, which would have been 5 years ago. Oh no, sorry, it was Pulverizer, which was the one with the wrong size bombs, which is it Pulverizer 4? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it had the wrong size bombs. Was it meant to have 500s and it come with 250s?
It's got 500s from memory, but everyone was hoping. I mean, they're not the wrong bombs. Like that's what it did carry 500-pounders during the war, but everyone was hoping for the 1,000-pounders.
That's it. Sorry, I got them back to front. But yeah, I think it's one of them ones that feels like a safe release. But I think if you think D-Day, it's one of them aircraft that just scream like the C-47 sort of screams out D-Day, especially from the RAF point of view, doesn't it? So I think it's the one for me that feels like the safe one of the group, but I still think it's nice. I mean, it's on my hit list. It's on my hit list to get to. I've got every Typhoon, so from my point of view, the collectaholic in me says that I need to get it regardless. So, I mean, for me, it's a winner in terms of sales as well. I think it's a very safe. They don't hang around very long, do they? The Typhoons when they release.
No, it's a popular tooling. There's no doubt about that. And you're right.
Yeah.
Safe is a good word to describe it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Just going back to a few bits have been on the comments before we move on. Andy, obviously the plane model who's on last time, said, evening, we guessed a few right in our last chat. Damn right we did, Andy. We know we're on it. Good evening to Not Another Train. Good to see you on. Good evening to Mitchell. Good to see you on. So Gauty Boy said, shock no 100th bomb group B-17. I think they've been caught on the hop with that a little bit. I think
I'm going to go happen one day.
I think it will happen, yeah, but I don't think. Looking at the comments on the Corgi Facebook today, they said their plan is pretty. I think their plan is pretty concrete, and I don't think there's any room for manoeuvre within it. I think they plan it out 3 years in advance, whatever it is, get the tool ready, and then for me though, and that's something I would say is a criticism of Corgi. I think they need to get ahead of the curve rather than behind it.
Well, it's interesting they say that, but they got Blackjack out pretty good.
Yeah,
like it's only a year after. You know what I'm saying? Like they are capable of being reasonably flexible.
Yeah. So Jamie's on. Good evening, Jamie. He said Milk Wagon, but also Johnny Johnston's Lank. I guess that probably was the last heavy, wasn't it? The Johnny Johnston Lank last year. Yeah, that one. I sort of forget about that. And good evening to everyone else who seems to have joined. There's a lot of people who have joined, so thanks for tuning in. I will save this and whack it on YouTube, obviously, for the model hanger free guys and anybody who's still in bed who isn't up at 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia. So, how would you score that? We've done this before. How would you score the Typhoon out of 10?
7. Safe 7.
Yeah, safe 7, and that's exactly how I'd go. You read my mind. I think that it's a good release. It's pretty money. It's easy money. I don't know if they're doing 1,000 or 1,200 units or a little bit more, but I think it will sell through pretty quick. Yeah. Not one to hang around. So on to the second bit of the D-Day was the lovely Westland Lysander, the Lizzie, as we know it. Not full D-Day markings, just a fuselage band. Caught me in the hop. I'd never heard of a D-Day Lizzie. I just thought they just went on, carried on wearing their night gowns, as I would say, the pure black sort of later war camouflage.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research for this and put it on the actual model hanger free as well. So I had a look at it, and I love it. I mean, the Lysander's a lovely model. It's a great old aircraft. I've got every Lysander that's been produced, so it's another one for me. I'm after all I've got all the D-Day ordered because I'm a massive fan of D-Day. A bit like Gary Jukes over on the page. He's a D-Day specialist. So any thoughts on that?
Well, only have two Lysanders. I have the Desert one and the early Bella Britain one. So I don't have an SOE type, clandestine European Lysander. So it's definitely on my target. It's probably the one that I'm most keen on because I don't have I call it SOE, that type of operation craft during the war, and I don't have one. So it's definitely on my. I probably would want to find a little bit more about the actual aircraft and see if there's any history of that actual aircraft and what mission it may have undertook during D-Day with those invasion stripes. But other than that, I'm pretty keen on it, I would suggest.
Yeah, I've not read up on the page. Obviously, I've looked at the page. Sorry, I didn't mention on the very first release standard price of $59.99. So if you're looking at not buying off a Colgate, probably in the 45 to £50 range, realistically. Yeah. So they've not put prices as well, which is encouraging. Down either, which isn't encouraging. But I don't think it'll ever come back down, to be honest with you. So no, I really like it. I think it's very, 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 very good. There was a lot of commentary about whether it was something that even didn't exist but clearly did. Again, you had something a little bit different. And it's an aircraft that wasn't in the D. We were talking about the D-Day theme, which I believe I've done like a few blogs on it, and I did a video on it last year as well, which is available on the page if you do want to go back and watch it, folks. Where I got out literally everything within my D-Day collection, and I didn't pull out a Lysander. I didn't even think of it. It's one of those aircraft like the Swordfish that, although it flew on, don't really appreciate it. So it's another one for a theme. I really like it. I mean, I think it's something, again, it's different, and I think they seem to be ticking a lot of that box in terms of a difference now, in terms of like trying to add something that's got a little bit of, not iconic, I don't think it's the word, but something that adds a bit of a niche to your collection, something that stands out, like the beer barrel Spitfire, which is something a little bit different, so it adds a bit of variety to the stuff you've already got. And I'm all for it. I think it's a brilliant idea.
So do you know what the actual aircraft did? Was it doing an SOE type operation, or was it doing spotting? Do you know?
I believe it's an SOE operation. If somebody watching wants to quickly dive on the Corgi website whilst I'm there, because there is obviously a brief write-up which will be on the collector card when they. Looked at the pictures and thought it was really, really nice. And I don't think there was a special box for the Lysander either. I can't remember if I know I've shared all the pictures that I got off the page on the Insta story. I can't remember what was what because there were so many now. So giving that a bit of a quick score, what would you give that?
My favourite, so I'm giving it an 8.
Yeah, I was going to go sort of 8.5 because again, it just I like something that adds a bit of variety. It's different to the standard night camo that I mean, I bought the last Lysander, if I remember rightly, was the same scheme. There was a film called Allied that had Brad Pitt and who's the French lady, Marion Cotillard. Hopefully, I haven't slaughtered her name. It's called Allied, and it's actually really good. And he's a Lysander pilot in it. And the last release was the same scheme, which was in the film, which they made a replica one of, which went to the Tangmere Museum, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
So nice. It's a lovely release. Again, slightly different to the standard all black night. It's like green and grey, I believe, isn't it? Which is similar to this one, but obviously it's got the D-Day stripes. So yeah, I believe it's SOE, but don't quote me on that. I mean, it looks very similar. I mean, they didn't really have much more use than SOE at the end until the end, anyhow, because other stuff got in duties.
Well, it was originally designed as an army cooperation type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the Battle of France, didn't it? Remember, the Battle of France.
Yeah.
It was equipped with bombs to, stem potential invasion. Operation Sea Lion. It was, adapted, and I believe the Arco one, Duxford, has actually got the bomb racks fitted to the wheel arches now as well, the ring wheels. So, Corgi website says that it flew in August 44 during the Operation Schmeiter. What's Operation Schmeiter? Any idea? Or Schmeiter?
I'll have to look it up. Scimitar.
Yeah, Scimitar.
Scimitar.
Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar with that.
Yeah, neither am I. But Scimitar, I think so. It must be.
Yeah,
sounds like an SOE thing. So.
Yeah, well, look, it's lovely, isn't it? I mean, that's why it's got the half fuselage stripes and not the full wing ones because it's obviously later after the invasion. So, but that for me, 8 out of 10 all the way. Again, I think it's going to sell really well. Different, and so let's talk about the D-Day range as a whole. Are you a bit disappointed there's no Luftwaffe in there?
No, the year is not over yet.
Yeah.
Well, I have read a lot about D-Day, and one of the biggest furkies about D-Day is the lack of operational Luftwaffe sorties. But there were in fact over 100. I think it was 140 odd Luftwaffe sorties onto the beach. So, and there's one quite famous one with Prilla doing a suicide mission strafing the beach.
Yeah, which is in the day. It's actually 2 Me-108s, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
him and that.
They haven't released that 190, have they? They haven't released Prilla's 190. That would be a perfect.
Prilla, how many? There are a few Prillas aircraft out there. Yeah, I mentioned the FW190 on the last video we did, and I thought it was an obvious shoe-in because we've had the last D-Day Luftwaffe was the Me-109G that landed at Manston in Error. That was the last Luftwaffe, and I don't think there was anything else along that around that time.
No, I think there was maybe a Ju-88, one of the harassing type operations on the night of the 7th and the 8th. Definitely, the Prilla one. Well, to me, the Prilla seems to be an obvious one. I don't know if anyone's got a picture of it. If there's a picture of it anywhere, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've got a Prilla FW190, but I don't think it's the D-Day one. I think it's 1943 scheme.
Yeah.
If I rightly. In fact, yeah, that's a really good point. Not another train's put. Such a shame. The 190 undercarriage is such a pain to fix. Every Luftwaffe fighter, tell a lie. The Me-110 is pretty solid, but the early 109s and the FW190s, whenever I'd go back to my shelves, they'd just randomly collapse out of nowhere. You'd end up using a bit of blue tack, and even that wouldn't hold it at some points because they just splay open, didn't they? But then same could be about a lot of the early Mustangs and Spitfires as well, weren't they? So they were quite problematic as well.
The other thing is too is that they have a wonderful Gustav. I mean, it's one of the best little fighter toolings on the market today, and you haven't seen a D-Day, except for the one that you mentioned, which was a bit inglorious, just crash landed at the wrong airbase across the channel. Look, the year's not over. We might see something. A harassing bomber or a Prilla's 190 would be good, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't done again. The last 190 they did was the silvery one with the story girlfriend who was bunged in the back, which was a bit of a
marmite.
Yeah, a bit bland when it didn't really have an awful lot to it.
Different.
Nice looking scheme when you actually get. It's one of them ones, a bit like the ME-262, where you look at it in the box and you just think, meh, and then you open it and you're like, actually, that's lovely. But then sometimes some of the models are, Prilla's is dated 1943 as mine.
Thanks, mate.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about, isn't it? Almost. Yeah. So let's talk about. So the D-Day. Are you happy with the D-Day selection as a whole?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much happy with it. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Night Fright turning up. I'm really excited about that. I've got a trip. Well, I've got Night Fright and the Beaufighter turning up, and then next month will be the Spitfire 9 and the Ju-88 as well. So,
I mean, what's there? I mean, apart from the Luftwaffe stuff, is there anything RAF or United States that's glaringly absent for D-Day?
Mustang. I thought a Mustang might have been in the selection, but clearly there's so many great D-Day Mustang schemes to be done. I'm secretly hoping for the child in me really wants them to do the Duxford-based 78 fighter group, Big Dick. If I had the Mustang, I would paint it up in the black and white cowling and put Big Dick on the side, just because I could. It's the child in me, unfortunately, but it's a lovely looking scheme actually. And and this is why I keep harassing Michael about it. I'm sure he'd get shot down if he rather than Francis Dell or what's the other one? The one that was at Duxford. I forget the name of it now. It'd be the third one.
Yeah.
With Big Beautiful Doll and Twilight Tia, and it would again, they've gone for trios, haven't they? They like going for trios, like they've done with the B25, I guess, as well. So, no, I think they've nailed the D-Day range. So obviously Mitchell Goodin has said about he's looking forward to the B26. I think we all are, mate. I know there's some controversy around the engine nacelles, but to me, it's not too much of an issue. I think
it is.
The scheme, is absolutely spot on. As long as they execute it like the Pro, I think they'll be safe.
Yep, I think so too.
How many you ordered? Because you like ordering like multiples of stuff, don't you? So
I have.
You just ordered the one.
Are you talking about from from the last 5 or all this year?
No, from the B26. Have you ordered?
No, I haven't ordered the B26 yet, and I was actually talking about this with Bart a little while ago, and for those who don't know, C17 driver on MH3. I was talking to him on the phone, and this issue actually came up whether I wanted to buy it or not, and he said, "You've got to do it. You've got to do it." So he's talked me into it, but I just didn't know whether I wanted to wait and see what the next one was. But what's it? I probably will end up getting it, I suspect.
I think it's crying out early scheme, like a midway based early scheme with the wings and the shorter tail. For me, that would be, you put that next year, sort of your Pearl Harbor stuff, which there isn't a massive amount, of course, but I just think it just looks. It's one of them schemes, the early sort of the red, blue insignia, just looks so nice on the US stuff.
Well, I'm actually quite keen on a Commonwealth MTO scheme B20 early B26. So that's the one that I'm most looking forward to.
Franklin Mint.
Sorry,
there's a Franklin Mint one.
Yeah. Oh, Dominion's Revenge. Yeah. That's what I'm most looking forward, because I know I forget which squadron it was. I'll think of it in a minute. But I think it was also, was it 12 or 14 South African Air Force?
Yeah.
And there was also it was an RAF squadron, which eludes me at the moment. But that's the one I'm quite looking forward to.
I mean, look, the possibilities are endless, isn't they? I mean, you can do silver, olive drab. You can do mid. You can do. Even a training unit from Florida, they were used out in the Philippines as well, the B-26s, weren't they?
They were. So the 15th Air Force did have them, and they ended up staying in service. However, they weren't very popular in the Pacific.
They had really poor glide characteristics, if I remember rightly. So I think they're littered all around like the Florida Everglades, where the training pilots took off and just ditched them.
Yeah, it was a bit of a death trap to start off with. So, and the engine, the angle of attack on the engines, the change of that is what helped. Yeah. I mean, it was always a dangerous aircraft. It was my understanding, but yeah, it did serve in the 15th Air Force. Whether it got all the way to the Philippines, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Kenny, the commander of the Air Force, was not too keen on it. So he preferred the B-25. So yeah, it's in the Pacific, I think the heyday for the B-26 is Midway.
Yeah. I mean, that one, and again, about attaching stories to aircraft and pilots. That the B-26 flying along the deck of the Jap carriers is an iconic picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's seen Midway, the remake, the second one, which is obviously a bit CGI, but it's good to see the B-26 featured in that. It's actually a decent watch as well. I thought it was one of them films that surprised me. I know it's very American and very corny with some of the, how can I put it, some of the writing and the directing and whatnot, but it's actually a really good watch. And the 1970s version of Midway is still obviously really, really good, really, really enjoyable film to watch. But I quite enjoyed it, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I think I also made a mistake. I think I meant the 12th Air Force, not the 15th. Just want to correct myself there. I know it's not the 12th either. I've got the Pacific Air Force wrong, but I have to think of it in a minute.
Yeah, that's all right. That's good. So yeah, I think I don't know what anybody else who's watching thinks of the D-Day range if they're happy with it, but I think they've nailed it. Really, really good selection this time round again. Um, so let's move on to the other, obviously featured aircraft. I've got three more to go through. So the first one we'll go through is, of course, the P-47D of Dottie May, which is the last Allied aircraft to be lost before VE Day. Fished out of a lake in Austria in 2003 and restored to flying condition, which I thought it was like last year, but apparently it was 2017. I mean, that's how quick time flies. It's owned by a gentleman called Jack Kroll, who's got a select aircraft based at Plains of Fame at Chino in California. It's, I believe, the second most recent P-47 to be restored to flying condition. Beautiful looking aircraft. I think people have been crying out of it for a couple of years. I'm really, again, you can almost fit this into the D-Day theme because I believe it's got has it got fuselage, half fuselage markings on it?
I know, I'd have to have a look. I'm not really that
Is
in
off the top of my
it. No.
Oh, it hasn't. Oh, okay. I thought
We're
it had a
talking
little.
P-47,
Yeah.
yeah? Yeah. No, it doesn't appear to have any. I can't see underneath it,
Okay.
but it doesn't look like.
But that's
I think
lovely.
it's in
Again, yeah, I like the yellow canopy. How the canopy's been, the framework's been yellow now. Obviously, it's a flying warbird as well, so it ties in with that. Um, so it's a real winner for me. And I always thought the D was a better mould than the
yeah,
C.
yeah.
I think Dragon nailed that a lot better. But the D's not quite on par with Dragon. I think Dragon is still in 172. I think Dragon is the leader in the
Yeah.
P-47, other than a bit
I
of
realised it was a flying warbird. I didn't realise it was a flying warbird.
yeah,
If that's it'll definitely do well.
yeah, absolutely. Especially out in America as well. We know that again. Ship a few of these over to Chino. Easy money again. Printing money. But again, an aircraft not. But it's 12 years since the last release, which I believe was Snafu.
Really, 12 years.
War Eagle were the last two releases of 47. I worked for Sainsbury's in Essex Road in 2011. It's maybe even a little bit longer than 12 years because I remember ordering it and sneaking it to there to be delivered to my shop rather than to be delivered at home. And that was Snafu was the last one. Snafu, well, War Eagle technically because I think it was a split run. Was in War Eagle was a Corgi Collector Club special. But yeah, that is outrageous. I cannot believe a bit like the Canberra, not being rolled out for years and years and years, and they found it. So there's hope for anything that's been released, whether it be Sabres. And I also think, I will get to it in a minute, but I think the picture in the catalogue featuring the TSR2 Sabre Tornado, I think the Sabre might be another one that's been dug up to be released as well, because that was a really good mould from Corgi.
It's the Sabre is a really interesting aircraft. The Corgi Sabre is a really interesting tooling. I don't think when back in the day, I used to put on a thread about the most wasted tooling in the hobby, and the Sabre and the Canberra were the two top ones because like they do have a pretty nice tooling, but they never had, like, out of all the releases, I don't think they had one Korean War race. They didn't have, you know what I mean? Like it was just crazy stuff. But anyway, the Canadair RAF Sabres are really quite rare and they're fabulous. So
speaking of Sabres, actually, I've just thought of a link because Baldwin, the guy with the Typhoon, was actually lost on
yes,
in a Sabre over Korea on a transfer. So maybe it's like a double release because they did that with Happy Jack's Go Buggy, didn't they? I think that'd be a really good tie-in. I really do. I think if you like knitting the stories together and little themes, what a great way to introduce it. A British pilot in a US aircraft who's lost over Korea. Now, I just have a funny feeling that it might be the same because there's for anybody who doesn't know, in the catalogue, there's a hint that there's going to be several announcements at Riyadh in July. So that could just be two, but I would imagine that would probably be a new 148 mould, which I'm guessing Buccaneer, but I think there'll be something else there as well. And there is a Sabre, if I remember rightly, which is attending Riyadh this year from France, the Mistral Warbirds one. So
You reckon they're going to announce another 148 tooling?
yeah, but look, you've got to remember, come January, the Tornado is out. So it will be, I think it will be a prelude to the January one and probably the following year that it will come out. I've always thought Buccaneer, because I think Buccaneer in 148 would be...
Oh, it'd be huge.
Yeah, if you drop that on your foot, you'd know about it, that's for sure.
Only
155 then, it would be your foot.
Buck over at Model Hangar 3 will lose his shit if that happens. But I'd be a bit surprised. I mean, they really haven't... like, I like the 148 range. I really do. I love it. And so far, they've only had one mark of Lightning, one mark of Phantom, or, you know, the FGR1. They've had the Tornado. We haven't even seen the first one yet. There's been, what, 2 Typhoons now?
Yep.
So, like,
And
the current toolings haven't really built up a big, massive releases yet. I mean, the Lightning's the Phantom the most. And I don't know. I just would have thought that another tooling would be a bit early. But I could be right.
3 Phantoms, obviously now the third Typhoon, 1 Tornado at the moment, and 1 Harrier. So they've got 5. Yeah, the 5.
Yeah. Okay. It's almost like Franklin Mink, the way they're going.
Well, but they're keeping it very, very much British centric at the moment. I mean, just imagine. I don't know whether obviously they've told the RAF Phantom, so in order to make US releases, they'd have to make some significant changes.
There'll be no US releases.
No.
I mean, I'm running for the FGR2, so that's the one. I'm running for a German-based FGR2 with, you know, Snebs or something. So
surprised me. I've always thought Black Mike as a fan would be a easy one to release. Obviously, you've got that really emerald blue one as well, which is really nice looking aircraft as well. But there's so many fans there in now. I mean, I haven't done Tiger Force one, just a standard grey UK based one at the moment, because the other one was obviously Falklands.
Yeah, with the white.
There's so many options, isn't there? They could do the test one, which Dave Hunt is making. What's the name of the grey one with all the... Oh, my brain is gone. There's like
the Adcock and Brown.
That's it, Adcock and Brown. That's the one. Yeah. That one would be, again, that would just look tremendous in 148. But we shall see. Anyhow.
Yeah. Anyway, well, sorry, did you mention a TSR2?
It was in the picture, yes, and the picture in the. I can't imagine the men. I mean, that's unless they do some sort of made. No, why would they put made up camo scheme? And it does look lovely in camo. Not.
I don't know. I mean, did you see Jake's recent code through?
Yeah.
Looked very nice.
It's very nice, but it's what if, isn't it? So I guess where'd you go from there with the what if schemes? Because I think obviously Hobby Master had just done a couple of what ifs, didn't they? Potential what ifs, or whatever it is, and got a bit of a slating, didn't it? And yeah, moving on to the final propeller release is the B25.
Yes.
I guess this is the most controversial one of the 5, and it's not really that controversial because it's a bloody lovely scheme. But I guess the bit that you sort of alluded to at the start is there not better B25 schemes out there?
Look, I don't know. I don't. I'm sure Corgi has their reasons, but as I said, it was legal. By the way, it was the desert beach that I had legal. Yeah. But the thing is, like, just in my case, I think there's only been 2 MTO B25s, legal and 07, with that rather odd discoloration that particular.
the Nose Art series. That's the one I was watching. Yeah, lovely. It's nice. It's a bit bland, but it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've got '07 in Franklin Mint with the 148 version, and it's, you know, and I've always had a thing for the MTO. I've always and Desert because I've read a lot about it. I've got a plethora of books on the air war over the desert, and it's just it was like the proving ground for everything that the Allies did in World War II in the ETO in Europe. So I'd like to see another B-25, but anyway, this scheme's nice. It's, you know, it's a reasonably well-known scheme, but again, like it's what something that Corgi tends to do a little bit with the B-25 is have repeat schemes or very similar schemes, like the Doolittle raid. How many Doolittle? 3 or 4?
Three by Corgi. I think there's 2 by Air Force One now.
So it's a nice game. It's a B-25. It's a nice game. It'll probably sell, but it's probably not for me.
Yeah. I mean, look. To be fair, I'll be going again. This is priced at 109.99, so you're looking probably about 95 quid if you're likes of Andy Beck and whatnot. I mean, Andy's not on. I'm not doing Andy's prices for him, folks, unfortunately. But you know, he'd probably doing it for about 95 quid. I would imagine there or thereabouts, 95 to 100 pounds somewhere. He's usually very, 10% cheaper or a bit more. So, it's nice, but it isn't like the one I really want to go for. It's just, it feels not quite safe. I don't think it's the word, because it's more of a niche sort of theatre for people, I guess. That, I mean, they could have done a solid nosed Air Commando version with the white stripe on it or whatever it is. That's the white zigzag or whatever it is, and that is a sexy scheme. It's a shame they haven't got an early Mustang, or they've not retooled an early Mustang to do an Apache or whatever in that sort of scheme as well. It's a great tie. That would have been a brilliant sort of combination. But look, it's nice enough for me. I mean, it's very eye-catching. It's the most eye-catching, I think, scheme of, excluding obviously the next one we're going to talk about. It's the most eye-catching scheme for me. I mean, that for me, that's probably a 6 out of 10 for me.
It's somewhere around. I think the issue is that there are a lot of better B-25 schemes out there, and even Pacific schemes. I know Sid Huey, mentioned an MOH winner, for example, which I have the Franklin Mint version, which is a nice scheme. The Desert Warrior is the most awesome scheme, and it's also had a Canadian air crewman. So, as Dan once pointed out, and it's just a fantastic scheme with an extraordinary war record, and the aircraft survived. It ended up back doing a war bond tour in the United States. And it's got the most incredible artwork of any. It's very similar to the Squaw, B-24, the Squaw. It's got this huge map on one side, the slab of a map of the Mediterranean theatre, and it really looks. And on the other side, it's got Desert Warrior, and it just looks the dust guts. But anyway, this is what we got. It'll sell. Yeah, five for me. I'm really over Pacific Pacific B-25s. I've got to be honest with you.
So George Witt has just said about Joseph Heller's B-25 would have been a good release. And again, talking about tying in stories. Obviously, Joseph Heller, the author of Catch 20, brilliant combination. Again, Iranian theme as well. That's great suggestion. It's a great suggestion for that. I mean, you've got Spielberg's dad's B-25, which is the one which the Flying Heritage Collection in Seattle obviously own it, or whatever they're called now, because they were taken over by after Paul Allen's death. But again, a great tie-in, something interesting. But yeah, completely agree with you. I think there's better schemes to be done out there, but it's eye-catching. There's certainly, from that point, it adds a bit of flavour to your shelf, I guess, doesn't it? So, but right, so this is the star of the show now. But it's also quite a divisive scheme, and of course, it's weighted. They've got the right for it. The 148 Eurofighter Typhoon Blackjack released the same week that the RAF have just announced the new green and grey D-Day Typhoon, which is a scheme that should have been done years ago on it. For me, it's the big, simplest thing they could have done, but it just looks the bollocks. So that's definitely coming at some point. Be interesting to say, I've spoken to Gary. Obviously, he hasn't tuned in tonight. I'll have to have words with him about that, or Dan either. And Gary said that the grey on the outer part of the wing is too thick. It's about 50% too thick, because obviously Gary's done a brilliant code 3 in 172 scale. I think it's probably easier to execute in 148 scale because it's not so tight. What I've seen of it, it looks absolutely amazing. And no, I just hope that they've produced enough of them, because I really think this could be the one that you rock up at Riyadh with this. I think they could sell thousands of the bloody things. I really do.
So what, can I ask, why was it controversial?
It's just, it's one of the ones that people seem to either love it or hate it.
Right.
It just isn't everybody's cup of tea, which is strange, because if you think what they have, they have an open order in it. That's good. That's really.
They're going to make billions.
But that makes bloody sense, doesn't it? Because I really think this could be the biggest selling model aircraft that Corgi ever released. I really think that it could be the one that sends them stratospheric. I think they need to be sensible with it, make sure it is produced and ready for Riyadh.
Yeah.
Because if they miss Riyadh, they've missed the window. And this is the bit I criticise them for, that being ahead of the curve rather than reactionary. So that proactive.
Is it still flying in that scheme?
Sorry?
Is it still flying in that scheme?
It's the backup aircraft this year. So the main aircraft this year will be the Typhoon scheme Typhoon, the green and grey with D-Day stripes. That's our number one aircraft this year. But they always take 2 to air shows, and Blackjack, because it's got a limited amount of hours left on the airframe.
Okay.
Aircraft. So we'll do a few shows. It'd be lovely to see it do a pairs routine with the actual D-Day one, but I guess they need to display.
Definitely be a static display at Riyadh as well, I would imagine.
Well, it will go to Riyadh, whether it will fly or not, it doesn't matter. But I think it's, look, they've got it out quicker than I thought they have. I thought they might have dragged their heels a little bit longer on it. And, traditionally, Corgi get out their stuff after the sort of the peak of when it should have been out, if that makes sense. Yeah. Now, 180 notes as well, which is obviously very, very expensive. Not quite B58 Hustler expensive just yet. We won't get onto that tonight. But we'll leave that till next week, mate. We'll let you get some notes ready for that one. But I really think this could be the aircraft that sends some real profitability into the coffers. And maybe actually, I am slating them for only releasing 5. Maybe they're only releasing 5 because they're going to need the factory to produce more of this. Be interested to see what I'll find out next week. I'll speak to Michael and see what the pre-orders have been like on it. But I think it will be decent. I really do. I think there'll be good, some good numbers coming through on it.
Yeah, I know. I think it's wise that they're just going to leave it open, and they'll just keep chewing them out until. Yeah, I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think with the I was going to say the Spitfire TR9, that's not limited, is it? It's not a limited edition. No. They can produce as and when they want to produce them, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm not going to say it's a 10 out of 10, but from a financial point of view, it's a 10 out of 10 for Corgi. There's executions like first. I'm sure there will be a lot of focus on this. I really think this is the one that for me is going to blow up, I think.
Yeah, it's the I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. One, because I think it's sensible what they've done. Just open manufacturing. Plus, it's a striking aircraft. It really is one of my favourite RAF special schemes I've seen in a long, long time.
It's funny because I was chatting to a few of the lads. I won't name them, Matt, But he absolutely hates it. He hates the scheme. Hates the
Right.
scheme. Yeah, me. I don't mind it. It's not my favourite scheme, but I think the new Typhoon scheme is tremendous. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think that for me is Typhoon over blackjack any day of the week. I mean, I don't know everybody who's watching feels. If you know if it was blackjack or the new scheme, what your favourite would be. But no, I mean the French generally do a great job with the Raphaels, don't they?
Yeah.
Which are up for this year again, which is great. But I think it's probably the new scheme, the new. I think they're getting a bit better now. I think the RF are waking up. Anything's better than grey completely. I mean, the last D-Day scheme, which the RAF put on an aircraft, was literally a grey Typhoon with a few black and white stripes on.
Yeah.
And then 100 Sparkle, where they put a giant sticker on the towel.
And that was also very.
Yeah. And, you know, look, for me, it's easy money. But no, this, and of course, at £180 a go, that's serious profitability for the Hornby Group, which certainly won't hurt them. But like I said, obviously the next batch will be Riat, and then September when they release the September, October, November, December catalogue. Any predictions for Riat? What it might be? I'm guessing 2.
Well, based on what you're talking about there, the Sabre seems like an obvious one. Probably, maybe, don't know. Probably a US Harrier might be. Certainly, the tooling allows for the US Marine Corps Harrier, so I'll have a crack at a 1-48 US Marine Corps Harrier. I'll probably got it wrong.
Good.
But
There's a banging retirement scheme one that's just come out, which rocked up at one of the air shows in America, and it looked stunning. It looked absolutely beautiful. And Gary's done a few code-free Harriers as well, which have looked stunning. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it is a Harrier. It's a good prediction. I'm still going Black Mike. I think Black Mike will be an easy win. I think it'll be an interesting now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with 100 bomb group B-17 as well.
Do you know what? That might also be a very good shout. I think maybe Rosie's Rivers will be the one that stands out. I think it'll be a nice, easy one for them to do. Again, it's a shame they didn't do very similar to the B-17 ME-109 G set. It's a shame they didn't either a twin set with the Tuskegee. The Tuskegee, that's a new mould. I mean, I know you're talking 200 quid as a pair, but I think that'd be a great little combination. Masters of the Air set, but look, I don't know, but they may, they've got to get rights.
Ye Old Pub in that Gustav. It was Ye Old Pub, wasn't it? Yeah. That sold really well, and I was expecting it was.
You get it for under 250 quid. You've done really well.
It's a fantastic B-17 too. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wish Corgi would do something like that a bit more, or the diorama type thing, but they don't want to do that these days, and I don't know why, because they seem to do well.
Those days are gone because it's extras, isn't it? Yeah. It's whether it makes profit or not, and whether it's easy at all and stuff like that. So, are you a happy Christian for this catalogue, or did you want that bit more?
No, I'm pretty satisfied so far. I mean, I've all, the Canberra and the there's about 4 from the first release that I've either got or on their way. The Lysander for me, but I can't go around hoping for 5 out of 5 aircraft I'm going to absolutely love. No. So I think they've done D-Day a good shout. The B-25 is a little bit odd, but whatever. But it's still a nice aircraft. It's good, and it's 5 too, which is a good number. I think 5 for a this time of the year. I think it's fine. The numbers.
Yeah, I think if you used to pick out one, so you say the Lysander is the one for you from the catalogue.
That's the most definite one, the Lysander. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go blackjack, only based on not so much. It's the one I'm probably not going to get actually of the five, which is ironic, but but it's the most common sense release from it. And that's me going, I don't really want a 148 Cypher because I ain't really got the room for it. Mind you, I ain't got the room for 172 ones either. But no, blackjack's the most logical one for me. If I'm a businessman and I'm looking at the numbers, I'm licking my lips with anticipation. I'm literally doing Wolf of Wall Street and just doing this. I'm in the boardroom at Cobb doing that.
Oh, well, I hope for Corgi's sake, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, you hear doom and gloom about Corgi business, but it's still there. I mean, we've been predicting Corgi's demise for 2 decades, I reckon.
Yeah, but
it's
hasn't, to be fair. Look, I think that it's, for me, it's a solid. I'm more disappointed that it's probably 3 releases short from what I'd like. But then look at it, 3 releases is probably another 150, 200 quid coming out of my account. So from that point of view, that's probably, it's better for my account if there's 5. I just want that. I really feel that they've turned a corner production wise. I think my only concern, I know that blackjack is a complete banker, but I think they might just be limited themselves a little bit because I think there's more profit to be made if there was more releases. But that's just my opinion. But you've also got to remember, it's 60 quid a 172 fighter now, not 40 quid, which makes a massive difference in your wallet. As much as prices have gone up, our wages haven't gone up in comparison. Our tax rates probably have, but our wages haven't gone up at all. So, look, I think it's solid. Solid. If you was to give the overall catalogue a score, what would you say?
Just for this 5 now, or for the up to
overall the 5? Yeah.
A 7.
Yeah, I was going to go 8.
7.
I was going to go 8. I look at all of them and I don't see any of them struggling to sell.
No.
Great, but
yeah, I don't know about the P47. It depends on how they do it. If it looks like that bright yellow that's like just blinding me at the moment because I'm looking at the artwork, it's going to look a bit silly. So hopefully they'll tone that down a bit. But
yeah,
I don't. Yeah, no, it's not my favourite scheme.
Just somebody mentioned on there that actually the last P47 released was actually a Razorback. So what was the last bubble top one released?
No idea.
And that's my thing. I have no idea either. Part of me said it's the Raiden based one with the yellow and black cowling. That might be the last bubble top P47 release because you had the one with the yellow and black checker tail, which was also a Razorback.
Yeah,
I have a sneaky feeling. I don't. Was the yellow canopy an actual World War II thing or just for a warbird? I would imagine it's a World War II thing because it's been restored to its absolute. Was it Maggie? What was Maggie? Was that the Raiden based one with the yellow and black cowling?
don't know.
I don't. I think Maggie was the yellow and black cowling one. So, for anybody who don't know, the P47 No Guts No Glory, when it was based at Duxford, was painted in a temporary Raiden scheme for an airshow Raiden at one point. I don't know if it was painted as Maggie, but it was changed just for that airshow. But that is one of the best releases in the P47 inventory alongside Snafu. The Raiden based one is delicious. It's beautiful. I know you've got the really super shiny one from what do you call it, the Nose Art series as well. But was it Glenn Eagleston? I think that's the really super shiny one off the top of my head. Yeah. So look, I'm very happy with it. I just want a bit more from them. But look, speaking to Michael, the positivity around the camping corgi at the moment is really, really good. So the future feels bright, which is good. Good to hear for the hobby's point of view as well. Anyhow, I think we're calling it a night now, mate, because I've got to go to work in the morning. You probably need to get back to sleep because of your crazy shift patterns that you are. But look, thanks for getting early. The other side of the world. I'm just saying at the very start of the video, the wonderful thing about this is that I'm getting ready for bed. You've just got out of bed, and we're chatting on a video. Either side, one in one of the most northern parts of the world, I guess, and you're in the most southern part of the
Yeah.
world. It's magnificent, and our times have changed.
It can only be good for the hobby, and these sort of conversations, I think, are only good for are also good for the hobby. And I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes, of course. So anybody who's been watching, Wings Monthly won't be Wednesday next week. It will be next Friday. Christian will definitely be on there. We'll be talking about model hanger free and running a forum. I don't know if Sid can get on or not. I'll drop him a message and see if he can.
Do you know?
I did ask him, and hopefully he'll be able to, because we've delayed it slightly. Hopefully I'm going to have Matt on as well, who was on here as XL Striker, who works at Wheeled Aviation, or whatever they're called now, Historic Helicopters or Historic North Wheel. I forget. They change the name so often. But Matt works on Warbirds, and he's obviously a die-cast collector as well. And of course, naturally, he's got a massive beard, because everybody comes on here generally has a massive beard. Yeah, I mean, yours is now, Christian.
COVID fucked it. So.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully we'll see you all again next Friday evening. Thanks, mate, for getting up so early. Always a pleasure, because the knowledge you have is unreal. You know, it puts me to shame. I'm just the guy who drives the bus, who has no idea how to fix the bus. So,
well, my knowledge is so good that I couldn't remember the 5th Air Force in the Pacific. So I had to go through 4 of them before I finally got it right. So.
We forgive you for that, mate. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But no, look, always a pleasure, mate. Look, thank you so much for coming on and enriching us with your knowledge as always, and obviously, and also a very balanced opinion as well, which is really, really crucial in this as well. So, look, thanks everyone who's tuned in tonight. Really, really appreciate it. But always a pleasure, never a chore. I'm going to go and get ready for bed because I'm cream crackered. Christian's probably going to go back to bed because he's cream crackered.
Oh, waffle.
Yeah, but that's it, guys. Thank you very much. I'll share this on, obviously, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Once I've edited the video, I'll probably do that tomorrow now because it's a little bit late. But I bid you farewell and hopefully see you next Friday.
And I'll put it on the forum for you, mate, once it's on YouTube.
Of course. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely weekend.
Cheers, lads. Stay well. Have a great weekend.
Hopefully West Ham bump those Scousers tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Christian.